Oh yeah. Week 1 of the NFL, and we are back setting your DraftKings lineup. Um, Thanks for joining. If you guys are coming back from last year, and if you're new this year, then basically what I do here is just ramble a ton and set a lineup, and hopefully give you some insight and basically just how I actually go through my thought process in the week and throughout the week, and just kind of put that into my lineup and how I choose guys and what I look at and what different factors and statistics and yada yada. So I think with that said, let's just dive right in, man. And I'm gonna start off here and just kind of go grab what I think is pretty damn chalky in with Dak Prescott here. And I am using Dak in cash. I think I'm going to use him until his price raises, or until he proves otherwise. I don't think though, like if you're a risk averse player, I don't think he's a play for you. Mostly just because we don't know what to expect. But here's what we do know: Dallas is projected to have a team total of 23.5 points and is a very slight home favorite. History shows that quarterbacks have averaged 2 TDs per game when Vegas has their team total projected at 23.5 points or higher. So I think the median projection of like 1.5 TDs for Dak is more than reasonable. The Giants also allowed 308 yards and 1.9 TDs per game through the air in 2015. They were also thrown against fourth most in the league. Teams were averaging opposing teams were averaging 40 pass attempts per game against them. So I think if we factor in I think 30 to 31 total passing attempts, probably like 4 or 5 actual rushes out of him. So we can probably take that into 28, 31 yards, give or take, depending on how finite you want to get into it. I think it's totally reasonable for Dak to 3x that 5K right there. I think 15 is actually a little low. I think he's gonna hit closer to like 18 or 19 this week. And I don't want to get cute and fade him. I think he's gonna be owned in chalk. There's just so much you can do. It opens up so much of your lineup when you punt. I mean, I guess you can use the word punt. That's what we're doing, right? But it's not a true punt because we're actually, I think we can get decent results out of them. So we got Dak at quarterback here. I think we can just jump down right into our running back spot. A handful of running backs that I like. I think if you want to pay up a running back, I think you should definitely look at David Johnson. You could also check out Lamar Miller. Those are like the two guys. If I was going to be setting multiple cash lineups, and I think I might do that this week. I'm usually like 1, maybe 2. Never play 3 or anything like that. I don't think I need to hedge that much, but I think I might play 2 this week, and I think I might go 1 with David Johnson. But for now, I'm gonna actually scroll down, and we're gonna get a guy a little bit cheaper. His name's Latavius Murray, and he's going up against the Saints. And just like last year, I think we're gonna be able to plug and play any offensive skill player versus a defense that gave up a ton of yards, a ton of fantasy points in general to opposing teams' skill players. Specifically, they gave up 29 fantasy points to opposing teams' running backs in 2015. And I think that number can be a little bit misconstruing, but because you just get a lot of running back by committee, right? However, Murray saw a league high 71% of his team's total rush attempts and 74% of his team's market share of red zone attempts. So I don't think that we're going to, and I do have my reservations about him. Like long term, he only averaged 0.31 points per snap in 2015, but I have zero concerns firing him up this week when Oakland has a projected team total of 25 points, and as I've stated a few times, they're playing the Saints. So 5,600, great price point for Latavius Murray there. And what he does is he also opens up a lot, and we can get some of these high-end guys at the wide receiver spot like ODB, Nuck. I think Dez is actually a great pair with Dak. I'm just not going to use it in cash because I think that they may end up running that ball and just slowing down the pace of the game a little bit, which is one of the negatives against Dak. So I'm actually just going to go all the way up here. We don't have Antonio Brown in the main slate on DK, so we're going to get Julio Jones. I'm not going to get into this. I don't think there's a reason to. Atlanta has an implied team total of 25 points. They're facing a pass defense that graded out 26th worst according to Football Outsiders' pass DVOA metric. And Julio saw 32% of his team's red zone targets, which was like third best in the league last year. My boy Eric Decker was up there as well, I think with like 34, 35, and then percent. And then DeAndre was up there with close to 40. Oh, not close to 40, like 37 point something. And I don't remember off the top of my head. So anyways, Julio Jones, plug and play at the wide receiver spot this week. We are going to spend down at our tight end spot. I'm going to get a guy who I've been targeting a ton. He goes by the name of Jared Cook. The biggest knock, well, it's not even a knock on Cook. It's just that he's never had a decent quarterback. Dave Lockren tweeted something out, basically said Cook has played with some truly stellar gunslingers over the past years. And then there was this great picture that he sent, and it had just some really horrible quarterbacks. So what Aaron Rodgers does is he makes bad players decent and decent players good. So it's an easy punt for me at the tight end spot. They've got a team total of 25 points. Cooks actually represents one of the best dollar per point plays on the slate at the tight end position. He's also up there just in terms of dollar per point overall for me. I think he's like a top $10 per point on the entire slate. When you have guys like Marvin Jones, Spencer Ware, Dak, obviously, who are, push him down the list a little bit. So I just can't really fade him. I can't get off him. I think you can go with a guy like Allen. And if you really want to pay up at tight end this week, I'm not a super big fan. Gronkowski supposedly isn't traveling with the team, and I think he might be ruled out. So I can't pay up for him. You could go with Gary Barnage. I don't see any reason to. So I'm going to go with Jared Cook at the tight end spot. I can't believe I just spent that much time talking about the tight end spot. Let's move on, and we'll grab another wide receiver. And I alluded to it just a second ago, but we're going to get Marvin Jones here. He's $4,600 going up against Indy at Indianapolis. So I think there's a good chance that he actually ends up as the highest owned player this week. And it's for a good reason. Detroit has a healthy implied team total sitting at 25 points. And in 2015, Detroit threw the ball 68% of the time on the road. So there should be a massive amount of volume, not only for Marvin, but for Tate too. I just prefer Marvin at the price point. And then I'll have to check, and as should you guys, just leading up throughout Friday and on Saturday, what Ebron's status is. If he's even playing banged up at all, that could obviously just lead to more targets for both of those wide receivers. And one of the things that I like is the Colts allowed an average of 180 yards to opposing teams' wide receivers in 2015. So I really think Jones is kind of like I said earlier with whoever's playing the Saints, but Jones is plug and play this week for me. The other running back, once again, no high-end running backs this week because I don't think we need to. Spencer Ware is going up against Kansas City. Charles is done. Charles is not going to play on Sunday or shouldn't be playing on Sunday. That's what all the early reports are indicating. The Chargers are just great to target with opposing teams' running backs, as they allowed the highest point per attempt in the league last year, pushing something close to like 71 or 0.71. And they graded out as the 31st worst rush defense, according to Football Outsiders' rush DVOA metric. They haven't had any great additions to their personnel or look at changing up their scheme, so I think we can really rely on that previous year metric. And they allowed the fourth most rushing yards to opposing teams in 2015. So I think Ware along with another cheap wide receiver are really going to be like your glue. So a guy like Marvin Jones, or even if you want to spend up at wide receiver and maybe get off Lat Murray or something like that, you could even go with like the opposing wide receiver there, T.Y. Hilton. But instead of T.Y., I'm actually going to grab a guy by the name of Donte Moncrief. He's $6,000, so a little bit of a discount. And the Colts have the highest projected team total, sitting at 27.5 points on the week. They're playing a game with the highest over-under, which sits at 51.5. And the entire Lions secondary grades out as average or below average, according to Pro Football Focus. So I think Moncrief and probably Hilton, I'm honestly not sure how this coverage will work out, but they should both draw their fair share of Nevin Lawson, who graded out as one of the league's worst cornerbacks in 2015, according to Pro Football Focus's grades. So I think Moncrief at $6,000 is giving us, I think top 5 is probably being a little too excited, but I honestly think he's giving us top 10 potential at the wide receiver spot at a highly discounted rate. So that's why I've got Moncrief in there. So that leaves us with 2 positions left. We've got our flex and our DST. So we'll grab our defense here, and there's 3 that I really like for cash, and they're actually all 3 at the top. I think that you can pay up for defense this week. I don't think that there's a reason to go down and grab a team like the Vikings, although you totally can. They're one of my targets too. Or you could even go down and grab the Browns, who I think you're betting against Vegas on that one, and it's not my favorite thing to do, but it's definitely something you can do. If Wentz is forced to throw the ball a lot, that could end up in some turnovers, but I truly think Ryan Matthews could touch the football like 30 times on Sunday. So great GPP play on Matthews, as well as I don't think a lot of guys or players will be on him. So anyways, back to the defense here. Specifically, I think we're going to go with the Chiefs in this lineup, and that's because I think Phillip Rivers is going to end up throwing off of his back foot more than any quarterback would ever want to. I was talking to Nick and Pat James last night and kind of made a joke that I honestly might take the over on Phillip Rivers throwing off of his back foot more than 15 times on Sunday, and that's just going to lead to interceptions, lots of forced fumbles. So it's no secret that the Chargers offensive line is pretty trash, as well as the Chargers are sitting at like 19 points, and they also threw the ball like 64% of the time last year. So the more pass attempts we get out of Phillip Rivers, the more opportunities our defense will get to generate picks and things of that nature. So we've got $8,500 here for our flex, and lots of good options. Des Bryant, AJ Green, Keenan Allen, Allen Robinson, Alshon, I think are all great targets. You could even go down at the Chiefs defense and just go get Nuck and call it a day. Like I said, you could go to the Vikings, and that would give you just enough to go get DeAndre Hopkins as well. Specifically though, I'm going to get Allen Robinson here at the flex. I like the price point there on him. And what is concerning is that the Green Bay secondary is actually pretty solid. The entire secondary actually grades out well above average, like as an entire unit. But Robinson will have anywhere from 3 to 5 inches and 30 pounds on anyone in their secondary. And specifically, he's going to have 4 inches and roughly 30 pounds on Shields, and 4 inches and 20 pounds on Rollins. So Shields is probably the best DB there. But I think the size and just athletic nature of Allen Robinson will help him dominate that. And the biggest thing too, though, is that I want to target those targets. It's a pure volume play here with Allen Robinson. Both of these teams passed a ton in 2015, and Robinson saw close to 10 targets per game over the last half of the 2015 season, and he averaged 2 points per target over the entire 2015 season. So I think with Vegas having that over-under sitting at 48 points, and with the Jags having a fairly healthy implied team total sitting at 22, I think he's totally fine to use regardless of the matchup with Green Bay secondary. And this is actually one spot I think you can differentiate a little bit in your cash game lineups using Allen Robinson instead of a guy like Keenan, who's just a PPR monster. And you'll notice here that like these guys are going and picking their players. DraftKings gives them these, opponent rank in green and red. And I in GPPs, I've talked about this before. I love targeting guys, regardless of what I think about them, what their actual matchup is. I love targeting guys with the red. They become less owned because you get, especially early on in the season, when you get new guys who are just throwing down $20-25 because somebody in the office was talking about DraftKings and they're firing away the $5 entry or the $3 millionaire maker. So anyways, that's a little bit off topic. So this is where I'm at for week one in cash. I could definitely see myself kind of getting off of this just a little bit. For instance, like I said, we could easily get off the Chiefs. We can go to Nuck, and at the defense, we can go right down to the Vikings here. Pretty much the exact same thing, but totally changes up your lineup. Totally, like drastically. It's 2 players. I don't know why I over-exaggerated that so much. If we want to get off Moncrief and Latavius, there's lots of other things that we can do. We can get David Johnson in there, and then we can kind of embrace the variance that wide receiver offers us. Typically, where running backs are a lot easier to project, and we can kind of look at, they should touch the ball 20 times. What did they do last year on a point per touch basis, and kind of generate a median projection with that. So there's lots of different things. $4,300. I mean, I didn't even touch on Tajay, but like, I think once again, when we're talking about a pure value play, he's on the dollar per point. He's up there, probably as one of the best value plays or dollar per point plays. I think I've got him sitting at 2 as a best dollar per point, right underneath Dak. So you go with Tajay. You still have $1,300 left. Plenty of salary cap here to work with. So like, if you don't want Ware because you're a little bit worried about West, we should be able to go right back to Latavius Murray. I do like Ryan Matthews a lot in terms of a volume play, so we can put that in there. And you can see just tweaking your lineup a little bit and embracing the variance that wide receiver can offer at the wide receiver position. God, that's redundant. We've completely reconstructed our lineup here, and while I certainly don't hate this for cash, I am much more inclined to spend up at wide receiver this week and take the value at running back, unless we see crazy reports about, Ware becoming a little bit more of a timeshare. Kansas City beat writer tweeted out yesterday. I'm not taking it into heart right now. I am. So I still think that Ware should see most of those touches, and I don't think Wes is going to get involved. So anyways, with that said, guys, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Starting in week 2, this is going to be something that's only offered to ProjectRoto premium subscribers. I am going to put this up and just make it available to everyone for week 1. And if you guys like what I did here, let me know. If you don't like it, please give me feedback. It's definitely something that I'm still working on. I had a couple guys tweet at me that they would just love this in audio format. While obviously you can just go hit play on YouTube and stick your phone in your pocket or just listen to the audio. You don't have to watch me actually click the guys in the lineup. I'll definitely just look at exporting this and giving it to you guys in audio format, throwing it up on SoundCloud. But anyways, best of luck in week 1, guys. Hit me up on Twitter at Ryan Hodge if you have any questions about this. Love talking lineups, love talking daily fantasy football. So I'll let you guys get on with the rest of your week and enjoy your Friday evenings. I don't know when this thing will be going out, but either way, good luck on Sunday, guys, and see ya.